We gather here today to perform the sacred ritual of raising a former cast member from the dead. Clay, do you have the first edition of Nintendo Power?
You know I do. I have it right here. Did you bring the blood of a virgin amiibo, Matt?
I definitely did. Okay, so we'll put these sacred items into the skull of this baby Yoshi and repeat after me. By the power of Flea, by the greatness of Galaxy 2, we command you, return from the dead!
Ah!
Is that... he just returned from a nap.
Is that... Who is that?
I didn't know if that was too loud, you know.
Oh my god!
Been sleeping for too long. It's been too quiet.
Who is this? Is this Paley Ceylon? I never thought I'd say her handle.
Sarah Palin?
Is this Sarah Palin?
It is I, Sarah Palin.
Welcome back to our podcast. Alaska's basically here.
I'm back from the country of Africa, as Sarah Palin once said.
And Alaska's in your backyard, as we all know. It's right there, just right over there. Eli, dude, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm back. I've been traveling, as you guys know, so it's been hard to coordinate with me being like 7 hours ahead. But I'm back in the USA, as they say.
Nice.
For any new listeners, do you want to tell them where you were or anything?
I was just all around Europe and trying to blow my savings before law school took everything away from me. Because they pretty much sent me a letter that said they would take everything in my bank account once I started. And I was like, well, good thing I'm going to spend it. And that's how I ended up here today.
Like, you can't steal what I don't have, suckers.
Exactly.
And then you're in debt for a decade.
Exactly. So the federal government's tax dollars at work sending me.
That's hilarious. Like, when was the last time you were on the show? Do you even happen to know? I'm not even sure.
It's been a hot sec. I don't know. Like,
as the kids say, it's been a hot sec. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine like the 2 or 3 new viewers we picked up. They're even like, why are these guys like talking about this guy? They're like, who's this dude? What's this guy all about? What's your bio? What's your right to talk about Nintendo? Besides the fact that I think you were like one of the ones who started this podcast, right?
Yeah, for a while, and then life gets thrown at you. You get like irregular schedules. Yeah. It's had to have been like 6 months since I've been on or something.
Oh, easily.
In a couple of months, yeah.
So yeah, no, I wrote a lot for Nintendo enthusiasts. Not as much anymore, although I still do.
Nice.
And so yeah. Nintendo's my thing. I now have very little time to play video games, and I still decide to play on Nintendo when I have a chance. PlayStation, been gathering dust.
Nice. PlayStation disc. We approve of that on this show. And you have a full Pokédex, right, including shinies, right?
That's my legit claim to legitimacy. Oh, and all the amiibo, of course, because
every amiibo ever made up to a certain point. Not every amiibo.
It's funny because now I get a certain amount of money. And loans from the federal government, they cap it or whatever, which of course I'll have to pay back at one point. But for now, I'm using my loans, of course, to ensure that I continue having my full amiibo collection.
It's an investment. And when you say we went over this, it's good.
And we've gone over your amiibo collection a lot of times, but when you say every amiibo, do you mean every or every Smash? Like, clarify.
Oh, I mean every amiibo.
He has every amiibo. I thought that was the case, but just checking in, making sure you got all those Animal Crossings and all the dollar bin reject, all the Odyssey ones or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think most of the amiibo are a good investment. They pay off, but the Animal Crossing ones do not pay off. That's like the one exception because they were like $3 2 weeks after they came out, and I'm like, damn it, I paid full price for those.
Yeah.
But actually, it's crazy. Some of the ones like Callie and Mary from Splatoon are worth like a crap ton of money now. They're like $80 each. Wow, so there's some of them that are like an insane amount of money.
Oh man,
Did you end up getting the Monster Hunter ones?
No, but those didn't release. So I guess I should clarify that I have every amiibo that is released stateside.
Yeah,
and I have the US version of it. But yeah, I do not have the other one that released just in Japan was Box Boy, was a Japanese exclusive.
I forgot.
So
Oh,
I don't have that.
right, yeah. But you do have like the weird one-offs like Chibi Robo and stuff.
Yeah, Chibi Robo. I have the Mega Man ones, which actually are also a great investment because they're now worth pretty much $70 each, and I have.
Damn, damn. I gotta track some of mine. I haven't looked in a long time of like what I got or whatever. All right.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Although they are doing re-releases, like you can actually, they're doing a rerun of Majora's Mask. The Link Majora's Mask amiibo, and that one was like it's probably like $50 right now on eBay, and they're doing a rerun on Best Buy right now. You can pre-order it. So that's like a tip for our listeners.
There you go. There you go. Starting the show hot, coming back hot with the amiibo tips. That's our deal, listeners. See, keep listening. By the time we're done here, you'll know like 2 more things maybe after an hour of listening.
All the ins and outs of amiibo.
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
That's what she said. All right.
You too can join me on my path through addiction.
I've cracked it, man. I bought one amiibo last year. I bought the Metroid breaking out of its case for like $30 because I really wanted it, because I was like, that one's super sweet. And indeed, everyone that comes over to my house is like, that one's super sweet. I'm like, yeah, you know it is. And then they look at it and then they put it down and I'm like, yeah, that was worth like $30. Sort of.
That's when you don't mention the price.
You know, I like gloating about it a little bit because all my friends like gloat over that one, especially. They pick up Ganondorf, look at him, then they see the Metroid busting out of its cage, and they're like, "That's a sick one. Did you make that? No, that's legit." You know. So all right. Anything else happening in the news, or is that it? Eli came back, end of the show, or what?
Yep, that's it. We're canceling
Nothing else. Nothing else coming up today on the show. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So. Yeah, I think we'll just go into announcements or whatever the news. Unless, Eli, you want to talk about anything you've played recently. If you have, I don't know.
I have been playing. I'm about like 8 hours into Fire Emblem. That's like the one thing I've been playing.
Yeah. I did see you pick that up. So how are you liking it?
I like it. I'm still in the school session. I don't know. I think it's like half and half, right? If that's what I heard. So, in terms of the gameplay being in the school and out of the school. Mm-hmm. But I'm enjoying it. I don't know. I need I wish I had time to just like sit down and grind it over a weekend, but that's like not time I have anymore. So hopefully I'll finish it at one point. But I do love Fire Emblem. I think that a lot of the innovations they've made, just to make it more story driven, were good. And the fact that you can skip them is, I guess, nice for the people that don't like them. Also, I played actually over the summer Katana Zero, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I want to hear about that. I've been looking at that game. Is it good?
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's a little bit like Hotline Miami, if I remember correctly, but it's not over the top. It's like 2D, but it's a similar concept. And gosh, the story's also pretty cool. Like, it's worth going in for the story. It's like obviously not dominant, but you have intro cutscenes and end cutscenes, and I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I almost bought it the other day because I was buying some games to take on a flight with me, and it was definitely one of the top choices that'll eventually definitely make it into my Switch. Like, it's not a question of if but when, because I almost always buy it, and then it's always like spacing out your platformers these days, you dig, because it's like there's so many great, like 10 years ago, we would have been like hungry for this stuff. And now it's like, how many platforms can one guy play, and I'm like, I have to kind of space them out. Like, so that's the only reason to probably get into the mix. This past time I went for more like creative indie games when I picked up a few new ones the other day. So like creatively, like puzzly games rather is what I'm trying to say. So not that this game, is this the one with the psychoanalyst in it?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it looks like such a cool idea. I loved the idea and like kind of the presentation of it. So yeah, Katana Zero definitely looks cool. So I'm glad to hear you're liking it.
Yeah, yep, and it's not too long. It's maybe like a 6-hour game. It's not too long, and for me that's good because I like to have, like, it feels like a full experience. It doesn't feel like it's lacking in content, but it's still like short enough to where you can beat it pretty quick.
That's always good to have a game like that. It's like, sincerely, these days, like our friend of the show that developed the game Membrane, that was one of his selling points. In fact, he said, he was like, I try to sell the game as saying that it's beatable. You can actually complete this game and 100% it and put it away. and that's kind of rewarding, isn't it? And I was like, that is indeed a feature. I always think about that game.
Yep.
Nice. So yeah, let's get on to some news. There's one announcement I want to announce before the direct stuff, because there were a couple things, and then obviously they dumped the direct on us at the last second. So oddly enough, Yacht Club Games had their own little like mini direct, like a day or two before this, which is they timed that perfectly, I guess. And one of the things, they announced a new Shovel Knight game. It's a spin-off. It's called Shovel Knight Dig. It's actually made by the people who made Bomb Chicken, which is interesting. And I really like that game, so I'd suggest checking that out. But
oh, cool.
So how do we feel about the fact that this is clearly a rip-off of something else?
You're going to say SteamWorld Dig?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe it's just the name. But even the logo looks very similar.
Yikes. I mean, what are you going to say? Like, so this is like, just to clarify, because I hadn't heard of this, this is a new Shovel Knight game. It is not more DLC for Shovel Knight, right?
No,
I hadn't heard about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like a Metroidvania, and I'm looking at it, and it looks a crap ton.
Really? That's yucky.
It's unclear to me if it's like the if they work together, but it seems like not. Based off the tweets that were going around, it seems like it were not, because the developer of SteamWorld Dig was pretty much like, "Oh, we're flattered," and someone else replied, "It's like you created a genre." So I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at. I hadn't even heard about this. It definitely has some elements of just a glance. Yeah, I mean they're calling it Shovel Knight Dig. That's crazy. I hadn't heard about this. Yeah, like hot take. That's a little weird, given that you're both like kind of significantly successful indie devs, and then you're gonna like kind of bite that hard, like right next door on the same idea. But
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
It looks a little different. Like if you look at the screenshots and stuff, it looks like a different style of gameplay. Like it looks more actiony, more like a Metroidvania. Although SteamWorld Dig is as well a Metroidvania, but it's more exploration based, I would say, because you're like digging down. Whereas here it looks like there are more enemies. You're more actively in combat. But I don't know. What did you think, Matt? Did you?
Yeah. I think it looks pretty cool. It's a spin-off. It's not like a direct sequel or anything, so it's its own thing, and it's not surprising that a game with a character that has a shovel as part of his moveset like doesn't have a game that's more about digging. Like, it's weird that Shovel Knight the game is just like, yeah, I just use it to like hop on things, which is not what a shovel is for.
We're like, burying the lead here. Yeah, we are. It's like, hey, wait, this does make a little sense. I mean, it's so funny. We're so used to thinking of Shovel Knight as just, a Mega Man, or like a Scrooge McDuck clone, stand-in DuckTales style. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
they could be like, we've been planning this all along. Don't even get after us. Like, don't even yell at us. Like the whole plan was to like ironically come back to the digging element eventually. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even. That is hilarious. It didn't even occur to me. Even occur to me.
But
it just makes sense.
I think it looks. I like the look of it. And apparently, I don't think you can see this so much from the trailers, but like the game will auto scroll, so it's not like the other game like SteamWorld Dig or Shovel Knight or whatever, where you can just take your time. It's like, oh, you got to hurry up and dig. Because the level will scroll and you'll die. And it's like semi procedurally generated. I don't know what parts of it are generated, but they said it's a mix between generated and like handcrafted. So I'm guessing like specific screens are tailor made, and then like it randomly generates which follows which. I'm assuming that's what they're doing. They didn't really specify, but
I mean, the best procedurally generated games are not fully procedurally generated. That would be my take on it, as a huge fan of the genre in the last year or two. It's you have to have some anchors that like make for a good play experience, and then you have a little bit of the D&D like class rolling and enemy rolling like as you go through it. So Yeah, I'd hope so. That's really cool. I mean, those guys are insane. Shovel Knight was overdue for a new game that isn't just free to everybody who paid like $15 10 years ago or whatever. Like, I mean, that is just nuts to me. I'm like, and I've never been able to play them. I'm still bitter because something went wrong with my 3DS and it won't update. And so that's the only platform I had the original Shovel Knight on. So I got like the first one, what's his name? Plague Knight or whatever.
Yeah.
The one that's like he looks like a bird or whatever with a scythe or whatever. But like, then I've never played anything beyond that because my 3DS just won't update, and it just seems to be like something's wrong with it. So it's like, yeah, it's a bummer. So I've never seen it, and I've just been kind of like, please make a new game because of that. I'm like, I'd like to play Shovel Knight again. I just don't want to buy it again, to just get the DLC or whatever, So.
And they're only now, like I think by the end of this year, releasing their last DLC.
They're nuts.
So it's like
they're crazy.
I just want to quickly pull up Shovel Knight and see when it released because it's got to be at least like 3 years.
It's like 4 years. It's at least 4, isn't it?
Yeah. Released in 2014.
Yeah, dude. It's like so long that I've like it's been sitting there on my 3DS like completely 100% it for so long, and I've been bitter for like years. That's how I knew it was a while. I'm like, I've been bitter because I can't like play beyond Plague Knight. Like I'm just like, why won't it update? I try every so often. I'll go back in it and mess with it and try and mess with my 3DS, and my 3DS just must have something wrong with it because it won't play like DS games anymore, and now it won't like update games like that. It's just something's functionally wrong with it. So yay, new game, even if it's a little bit of a rip off of a really great series. So I haven't even played SteamWorld Dig 2 yet, which I know is like a must play game. I just still haven't gotten around to it. It's also on that not if but when. I just always look at it and same thing. I'm like, another platformer. It's not really a platformer, but same reaction.
Yeah.
Kinda, and I'm like, I know it'll be awesome. And everybody like Eli when he played it, and I think you, Matt, said you it just sucks you in and you play it like crazy for a couple days, like until you finish it. And so I'm always sort of saving it because I always think, I don't really have time for that right now. I gotta set aside time for a game that's gonna addict me that hard, right when I get into it. So
yeah.
Cool.
All right. So let's get on to this direct. So they announced it like the other day, and it just launched a couple hours ago actually. And it's kind of crazy. I think it's basically like another E3 sort of with how much stuff was announced, I think.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff.
All right. I have some thoughts.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, we all have thoughts.
You're like, wait a second.
Do you have some thoughts?
I do, in fact, have some thoughts, but I don't think it's as good as everyone said it was.
Oh, geez. Well, we didn't even say if we thought it was good yet.
That's
if you mean
true.
Everyone as in us.
Although we did hear it just called a mini E3.
Oh, that is a tall claim.
I feel like that is by association, implying that it's good. But I mean, I just thought that there was way too many like ports and remakes, and it's like how many new games did we actually learn about? And it was like not that many. We didn't get an update on Zelda.
Well, I think that one's like still years away.
Yeah, that's years away. We're never going to hear about that.
Game.
We're not even hearing about that this year, I bet. I mean, that would be my... Let's if Eli's going to be negative, I'm going to be so positive it's going to hurt your brain. All right,
Look,
so...
And it's like, listen, it was fine. It was fun. But, like, other than DLC and ports and, re-releases, how much new content did we actually get? We got a few new trailers and games we already knew about. So I didn't think it was that exciting. I thought it was like cool, and it's great that we got it. It's cool to get updated on Animal Crossing and about how I'm gonna get ripped off by Tom Nook again.
Ugh.
But realistically, I thought that, yeah.
I mean,
if
you're gonna start with Animal Crossing, you got me there. It's like, yeah, get that stuff off my screen and let's like get on this showing us Banjo or whatever. But I hear you. I mean, like, what I need is a topic list here because there was so much information.
Sure.
It's hard for me to rebut Eli because I'm like, there was way too much stuff to even remember it because it was going by so quick. It was just like, oh my gosh, there is a lot of information. Like, I mean, Matt, if you want to interject and like rebut Eli in any way or agree, like go for it. My thought would be a really blunt. I can tell and respect where Eli's coming from about the new content thing, but if we want to get really big picture, like macro analysis of of what Eli's posing there. My rebuttal or comment would be the reason Switch is succeeding so well isn't because of original content. It's 1/3 because of that. It's Zelda and Mario, a handful of other things, but it's the fact that it is the indie machine. And they're going to lean hard into that because they cannot, as we know from Wii U, produce enough like OG content from Nintendo first party to fill a system. They cannot do it. And so ports and Steam and everything else that's flooding our direction, and then the bigger stuff we're going to get to that came over. I mean, that is only thing to expect, in my opinion. I mean, Metroid's delayed, Zelda's years away.
Sure.
I throw out my hands. I'm almost out of things. Pikmin 3. You know, I don't know. You know, what else is there to even mention? You know, we just got Fire Emblem. They didn't even talk about Astral Chain, and that just came out. You know, and that's a huge game for the system. Like in at least the way they're positioning it or whatever. But I don't want to get too off track. I mean, Matt, if you had any big thoughts that you wanted to throw in there or whatever, because like there's so many little things. It is a lot of little stuff. It's like so much news. I'm scrolling through like a news feed here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where do you even go here?
Yeah,
like,
Eli does make a fair point that there were a lot of like ports and updates on things. I guess I thought this was pretty good for what it was, because I don't think they're going to announce like really many 2020 games at this point, like tailing out at the end of the year. They're just going to be like, here's what's coming in the next couple of months, and then in January or March or whatever, they'll, you know, detail some new stuff.
Yeah, because we're like 2 months from the Christmas buying season. You know, not even like I mean, for some people, new announcement would be almost. Let's flip it on its head. That would be a weird thing if it had happened. It would be unprecedented, kind of in a way, for like a AAA game to drop. Like, honest, but
they could have teased something for February. Like, I don't know if they were like new Donkey Kong game coming like next spring or whatever.
Sure.
Well, here's the other thing too. The Game Awards is in December, so they might just save,
they got to save stuff too for that. Yeah, they got to save stuff for that. And also, like, I don't know if I'm right about this. Isn't it accurate that like games that like launch in Jan, Feb, March usually are not well received, i.e. they don't sell very well? So then I would think like
I don't know, because a lot of stuff comes out in January to March now.
Yeah,
like for the last couple of years
anyway.
Because November, December got so filled that studios were like, let's like not even bother, because it's like here's like 4 or 5 AAA games in the same month. It's like you can't even. There's just no point.
Yeah. I guess that's why I was asking, because I'm like, I kind of feel like that used to be the case, where it was like, oh, well, you release something in like winter and it doesn't sell because everyone spent their Christmas money. But games have changed a lot in that respect. So I don't know, Matt, I mean, like, where do we want to go first? There's so many things to talk about. I mean, do you have bullet points of like things that are the first stuff that we should talk about?
Yeah, I pretty much wrote down stuff I think we would find interesting, and then if there's anything else we can just go back to the list. One thing I did find interesting is a lot of the stuff compared to the other directs, a lot of the stuff they announced is like things that are happening today or tomorrow. It's like, oh, this demo is live right now or tomorrow, or here's surprise banjo, and like the Daemon X Machina as a new demo, and it comes out like this week or something.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did say that.
Kirby game. Tetris, some other stuff. It's like, oh, that's actually cool that they have something. Like sometimes they do have 1 or 2 things that are the same day, but I thought they added more here, which was
I gotta remember
nice
to go back to Tetris, because like what did they say? You can't even play the new stuff till you get a full victory in Tetris. Is that what they were saying?
It didn't quite focus on that, but they did add. They're adding new DLC tomorrow, and like some other trinkets and things. Yeah,
it sounded, if I understood correctly, and I could be wrong about this, listeners, but it sounded like they were saying there's new modes, and you literally need to get like a grand royale win the whole thing, like to be able to access the new modes. They're like saying it's for like hardcore players, like that you got to earn it. And I'm not terrible at Tetris competitively, and I've only ever gotten as high as like 8. Like I've never won. Like I played it probably a couple hours, like when it first came out or whatever. So that's kind of
telling me, Matt, you're telling me we allowed a casual on this show?
Yeah, you gotta win on Tetris 99. Let me see your screenshot. Let me see your screenshot.
I think I got second place one time.
Did you really? Awesome. That's sick.
Yeah,
That's sick.
I'm reading the transcript and it says players can't even play Tetris Maximus, or they can't even play this Invictus mode until they get first place in the online mode.
Yeah. Hardcore, dude. That's demanding because like there's some fierce competition in there. Like you get up halfway up the leaderboard and then it's like, oh man, I am getting slammed every couple seconds. That's good stuff. I got to get back to it. I'm literally gonna like, yeah, you know this. You know it is. Name of the episode. Psych. We need more 14-year-olds in this podcast, like listening. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Tetris 99 is one of those great free games that you forget about, and I need to remind myself to like literally go back to it because I'm like, this is super fun, like time waster, like when I need just a game for a few minutes in between stuff or whatever. So that's neat. More content. You know,
they showed off some Animal Crossing stuff, which, well, Unoclay and I don't really care, but I know Eli does, so it was like the most relaxing part. It's like very soft music, and this person, like this woman with a really soft voice, it's like fall asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was gonna call you Mike for a second. Jeez, Eli, I haven't really been following
Mike,
it. What did you think of the Animal Crossing stuff? Is there anything new? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, it's mostly subtle stuff, you know. Like it's like, oh, you can craft now, ish. You can make a pole and jump over the river.
Yay!
I mean, it's kind of funny because the entire trailer is like ironic because for kids they're like, wow, this is so cool, I'm going to a deserted island. But if you've ever like been employed or anything like this, you're like, wow, this is like, I could bring a lawsuit if this happened to me. Like, I'm in law school now. He's sending me to an island. I could die.
Oh man, it's like that fire festival, man. You're just like, oh man.
It's telling me I have to cross the river. I have to make a giant stick to jump over. Like,
why am I here? Oh, this vacation has turned into a hell, a living hellscape.
Yeah, this law school thing is not going to do great things for this whole video game thing. Like, man, they're sending kids off to war and Fire Emblem. I don't think that's like approved.
I mean, has anyone ever thought about like what kind of like legal paperwork you'd have to do if you were in real Fortnite in real life? Like, I'm jumping out of an airplane into a death zone. Like, oh my god. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
And so you're telling me if someone shoots the platform below me, which leads to my death because I fell so long.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
I have legal recourse.
You absolutely do. You absolutely do. Come on, everybody knows it. Like nobody wants to play like Fortnite Law Simulator though. Let's be honest. It does not sound that fun. You're gonna have to convince me. I mean, maybe Ace Attorney if they put him in there, it would be awesome. You know, objection, whatnot. So
anyway, I think most people don't play Animal Crossing because of the new features. I think inherently the game is literally the same almost every time it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they play it because they like the grind of waking up every day, picking your fruit.
They don't get enough of that.
Trees.
I know.
Listen, and they space it out long enough, you know, the releases to where you really feel like you're deprived of this activity. It's like, my God. I've not picked a single orange in years.
Oh my god!
There's like a basket of barrels beside you in your house. Like, I haven't picked oranges for years.
I need to do these menial tasks. Oh my god!
Like, Clay, I don't think you realize how deprived I am of fruit picking, and I'm digging for fossils. Like, you know how long it's been since I've caught a single beetle.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I'm gonna drive to your house and just give you a basket of bells and be like, "Dude, you're cured. Here you go. Like, here's the bells. What's up?" That's the currency, right? I got it right. It's bells or something, right?
Yeah. So yes, I will be once again buying into Tom Nook's predatory mortgage and going ahead and subjecting myself to near slave wages to pay off my housing. It's pretty much indentured servitude here, but I will once again agree to it because I am just sold by this whole idea of making friends with my fellow servants on this island. But yeah, I mean, I love Animal Crossing, so I'll buy the game.
Totes. Totes. Yeah, it was hard to tell what's new as a cash. Like you're looking at it and you feel like the way your parents feel when they look at video games. You're like, is there something new about this? Literally, I'm glad Matt asked that because I'm like, this looks just like Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I can't tell the difference.
Yeah,
I did notice that you can make a dirt path and curve like the edge of it.
What?
I think that's new. It's like, ooh, you can make it so it like turns around instead of just flat square blocks. The textures.
What?
Listen, Matt, this is truly one of Nintendo's most innovative franchises, okay?
It's like when they added slopes to Mario Maker, everyone freaked out.
Yeah.
Like everyone
Wasn't that, like,
seriously.
the first thing they showed off in the trailer too?
Yes, because everybody was asking for it so hard. It's like everyone needs to get a real life, is what I think when I see that. I'm like you're this excited about slopes in Mario
Angles.
Maker. Oh my
I've never
god.
been happier to see 45 degrees in my life.
For
Can you
drizzles.
imagine how many new animal friends I'm gonna force to be friends with me?
I can see you rubbing your hands like Mr. Burns in my mind. Like you're
Like-
just
Can you imagine if they add like a hippo animal? Then I'll be friends with a hippo. Like this is
it's
truly-
beyond.
truly new territory.
This is beyond. This is
Right.
really beyond. Well, that's great. Well, it's good to hear you're excited for it. I mean, like honestly, no, all snark aside, I love when a good series returns that not everyone else is into. You know, like for me, it would be like probably like I said, Pokemon. I want to say Pokemon. Pikmin, or something like that, where it's not everyone's cup of tea, but you know, I'm going to be pumped when they finally get around to that.
Yeah.
So same difference.
But I understand why people like the game because, to be completely honest, you know, most days of the week I do not have time to play video games, but I do like sit on the toilet for 15 minutes. And it's like really nice to have something that, like, you know, Fire Emblem, I can't like play a chapter that'll take an hour, but yes, I can go and like plant a few trees in Animal Crossing while I'm, you know, taking care of business.
Do tell us in detail. Do tell us. Eli's back from the dead and he's got no shame, people. Awesome. Good to hear it.
Yeah, there was so there's some other stuff announced. The Overwatch, the biggest not secret. They started that off and they got through it quickly, which is good. I don't know if it's too well. I guess it's not too little, too late because Switch owners wouldn't have played it. But as far as I'm hearing from some other people, like it's dying off, at least on like the PC front, because it's been like 3 years since that game is out. I don't know how long they're supporting it, but I think it's still cool to have it on there. And Paladins, you had your chance. Say goodbye to whatever money you had left because you're basically the Overwatch stand-in, and now you're not.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. Like, I mean, I wasn't sure when it came out. I'm not entirely sure I'll buy it because like a competitive shooter where everyone's going to be super deadly good at it already that I'm playing against is one barrier to entry that occurs to me right away. I'm like, oh yeah, like you said, it's been out a long time. People like Mike, aka Oversplotch Champ, like it's like if those kind of people like are the adopters, it's going to be pretty brutal. And you're going to have to hope the matchmaking and the adoption rate for like new players is high enough, which I think it could be. I mean, this is a big game, and Nintendo Switch has proven that in this modern era of way too many games for any human to play, there is a huge audience for things that 10, 20 years ago would have been seen as like, why are you releasing a game from 5 years ago? But then we are seeing now that the same thing that like, I'm someone who's like kind of limited myself purposely because I only play Nintendo and retro games. But there's like plenty of people who don't do that, but just don't get around to games. And then stuff like, you know, sells well when it comes out later over to Switch. And it's like people are happy with the like sales rates for Diablo. They're happy for their sales rates for Dark Souls. They're, you know, this kind of stuff is like only 4, 5, 6 years old in some cases, and it's still like dropping hot, you know. So I think a lot of people are seeing those numbers, and that's you know, that like it makes total sense. Like you said, you're hearing it's dropping off on other consoles. Well, what do they say to themselves? They're like, if we can get another like $500,000 out of this by like spending a few bucks to port it over, do it. do it instantly. Like it's not that old. It's still got name recognition.
Yeah,
I
don't think it won't sell. It's definitely gonna sell. It's just I was like half not confirmed. I half thought it wasn't gonna show up at all because people have been talking about it for so long that it seems like, oh, they're just not gonna do it. They're not interested. Okay, let's move on. And now it seems like it seems like so late compared to when people were asking for it. So I wonder what the deal was there. If they were just waiting to see how many units the Switch sold, or if there was something else behind the scenes, or
I mean, for a long time they were saying technically they were afraid it was going to be a huge challenge. Like for a long time that was the line. Like they did right. They didn't know if they could do it and make it work right, and so there could be a little bit of column A, column B, like waiting to see if it's worth it. Also waiting to see if like they can actually do it. So I don't know. I didn't think it was coming either. I thought it was like, I thought they had given some pretty definitive statements that they thought it was going to be a lot of effort for to maybe have a working product, and now we see. So.
Maybe that was the point of Diablo.
Right.
Well,
right.
That was probably too recent for them to have. I don't remember
Diablo
when it launched out. So maybe it might have been too recent for them to just make the port and then be like, okay, that did well. Let's just put in Overwatch. I don't recall. If it's within 6 months to a year, then I could say that probably affected it. If it was shorter than that, then they probably were already working on it before.
It could be the technical challenges of online too, but I'm waiting to see how well or not Nintendo's online service it works, because Overwatch is going to demand a lot better sustained like connectivity than like Diablo. Because I mean, Diablo is, it's online and all that, but it's not like a fighting game where it's blip by blip, millisecond by millisecond kind of stuff. So there could be that too, where they needed like a live running ecosystem to like even know, like, is it going to run fast enough to not be a joke or whatever. Who knows, but it's coming. I'm kind of interested. I saw it's $40 for a game of this caliber. If I have the time, I could see getting into it. But like 5 years ago, when like we were starving for games, I would have been like instant. I would have been like, I'm instantly going to get this and like at least try it out. Now it's like, holy shit, like where am I supposed to find the time? Like for another game that's going to demand this much investment of my like skill to like get any kind of competent at, because I know it's got like tons of characters. It's very highly competitive. That's right there. Those are two things that are like, I haven't even unlocked more than 30 characters in Smash yet. Oh my gosh. It's like, what, what I mean? Like, where am I going to get the time for this? Like, it's just like, good grief.
Checking, apparently Diablo 3 launched on Switch last November, so a little less than a year ago. So
not even a year.
Yeah,
so hard to say. Hard to say.
But yeah, so moving on to the next bit. I thought they were... So with the way they ended off, I thought they were actually going to show off Xenoblade Chronicles X getting a port, because I know a lot of people have been saying that. But it's actually a remake, or whatever you want to say, of the original Xenoblade Chronicles. It's called the Definitive Edition. It's not necessarily they're porting it over, because you can see Shulk looks like his Xenoblade Chronicles 2 design. So it's like some of it's updated, or maybe it's completely like remade. I think it's just completely remade from what it looks like, because that was on the Wii. So that's kind of cool. Since they have the second one now, you can play the first one if you missed out on that.
I was confused. I thought it was a collection with both games in it. I didn't know it was a remake only of the first one. I guess I thought I didn't know that. I wasn't really paying attention. It's not for me. I was mistaken then. I was thinking, oh, you're getting Xenoblade 1 and 2 in a package. Cool. And that's all I thought about it. I didn't, like I said, not for me. I know Mike he used to say he liked Xenoblade. I am positive he used to claim he liked it, and now he says he hates it. Eli, did you play it? You liked Xenoblade, didn't you?
Yeah, I love the original Xenoblade.
Yeah.
I think it's great. If you haven't played it, you should. The thing is, I think that most of the people that would play Xenoblade have played Xenoblade, because it was on the Wii and it was on the 3DS. So you got the two most popular Nintendo platforms right there.
True. That is a weird thing call. You're right.
The caveat is that it was on the new 3DS, not the
Oh, right,
okay,
right.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So nobody played it on there.
Yeah.
Actually. No, not like, I mean, not even being a dick totally. I mean, like, that's like such a small install base.
It's a very niche game. And so I guess Nintendo may have made this decision if Xenoblade 2 sold substantially better than Xenoblade 1. I don't know if that's the case.
Right.
So, if it costs them little to.
Cut out there.
Eli, you there? It sounds like we lost Eli for a minute. He'll probably be back in a second. So in summary, we can say Eli died. We brought him back
from the dead, and he just died on us.
We're not
not even in the next episode, the same one.
We're not. Well, let's apologize to the listeners. We're not exactly experienced masters of the dark arts. We were doing our best, but like, let's face it. I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm kind of evil. But Matt's a Canadian. He's not like meant to be raising corpses and stuff like that. He's supposed to be a nice person. And
supposed to be.
That's probably what went wrong. Like, my evil power ran out. My evil, nasty Philadelphian style ran out, and now we lost him again.
I'm not in a particularly hateful mood. There's no snow out yet, so I'm gonna have to wait till like February.
Well, until we get Eli back, maybe he lost power or something like that. So Xenoblade coming in a definitive edition. I don't care. You don't care. Sounds like Eli's probably not buying it again. No. But maybe someone will buy it. Who knows? Someone might. Someone for sure might buy it.
It's cool that they're doing that, though.
Yeah, they clearly want to make it a franchise similar to the way they took Fire Emblem from a series that like kind of only a few people cared about, and Nintendo started pushing hard on it, and now it is like clearly a flagship franchise in their mind, like in every way possible. Mm-hmm. So they're doing that with Xenoblade. They put him in Smash Brothers. That was a definitive statement already, and they keep making sequels and or re-releasing the game. So it's a statement. They believe in Xenoblade. They want to have like some serious RPG like in their wheelhouse, sort of like Dragon Quest, only a more anime style, like whatever you call Xenoblade. They see it as fertile ground. They want this in their stable of games. So good on them.
So to bring up what Eli was saying about sales, I just quickly Googled it. The original Xenoblade sold 1.42 million.
Okay.
And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 has sold more than 1.7 million. That was back in June. I don't know the last couple of months.
And these days, that's a decent number for a smaller title, right? I mean, is that your reaction? Yeah, that's not terrible. It's an expensive game to develop. I'm sure it's a very voluminous, large game, but it's a million seller. That's still respectable these days. So, well, that's cool. Until we get Eli back, I mean, we should probably just move on to something else. I'm not sure what happened there, but cool.
Another unkept secret for like forever is that they were bringing over SNES games, and they're bringing over SNES Controller 2. You have to be a Switch Online subscriber or an eBay shopper. But that comes out tomorrow, which is cool. I know Andre Seegers from Game Explain likes Stunt Race FX, and they put that on there, which is pretty funny. It's a game where you drive cars and they have faces, or googly eyes at least. But,
I actually beat that game last year because it's one of the games you can't emulate very well. It's interesting they brought that game and Star Fox because there's certain games that are very tough to emulate, or in some cases some hardware can't emulate. So Stunt Race FX is a game I actually own, and I like it too. It's fun. It's a small game. You can kind of beat it pretty quick if you spend some time just learning its really choppy graphics or whatever, like learning its bizarre physics, because it's got that like Star Fox framey, ridiculous, like ridiculously dated, like kind of framey wireframe stuff going on. But it is fun. And it's cool. It's such an unusual title for them to include, I thought, but I love it. I think it's a game a very small percentage of the world would ever get to play again. So
and apparently it hasn't been re-released either. So
I think that's partly because of that whole Star Fox wireframe problem. That stuff, I'm not as expert on that stuff as I should be, and I don't keep up. Once I solve a problem, I kind of don't pay attention to the news. I guess that's kind of a common problem for everyone. But I know that for my suit, I'm an OG collector for almost everything. old systems. But the one system, as I told you guys, and new listeners, haven't heard me say this before, but like for all my old Nintendos, I have them all sitting here, all their legit ones, all upscaled to a TV here in my house. But Super Nintendo collecting is so expensive that is the one system I gave in and bought what's called a Super EverDrive. So it's a cartridge that you can flash games onto. So you're playing them on the original hardware with a ROM flashed to a special cartridge that can hold the ROM and play it in the original. It looks like a Super Nintendo cartridge, but it holds games. So if you're not familiar with it, that's what it is. And my particular Super EverDrive, last I checked, it can't handle a small number of games, such as like Doom 64, which was mentioned today. And I was like, wow, look at that. And Stunt Race FX and Star Fox and stuff like that just won't work because nobody at the time had developed a way to emulate those special chips, the Super FX chip, through the Super EverDrive. Now, I don't know if that's been fixed or if that's been corrected in the meantime. Like I said, it could be dated information. And I was wondering about that too with the Doom 64 release, that I was like, is that part of it too? Because they know there's a little bit more fertile ground there for sales because it's a game that may have been difficult to emulate to a certain point or remains difficult to emulate for people. So there's more sales potential in it than, say,
the average
every other game that everybody else has played a million times on emulators or whatever, and just been like, why would I pay money for that game? I've already played it a jillion times. So yeah, I was pumped about it. Super FX. Super FX Stunt Racer is a hilariously goofy game. Don't expect modern graphics. That's what I will say, but it is funny if you put the time into it. So yeah, that's neat. Yeah, I was excited about this. What about you? I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time playing it because I prefer to play it on original hardware. But, I mean, this is getting closer to what people of your age want because Matt is a lot younger than me. The listeners may or may not know. And for him, the real nostalgia begins with, like, I'd say N64 if I know you well, and, like, you have less nostalgia for the stuff pre-N64. Like, not like you don't have any, but less.
It's more so the NES because I think, like, they're just a bit too older and like don't look as good, whereas I think the Super Nintendo is like the perfect like retro console to jump in on because the games look really good and they play good too.
Right.
I think realistically this will be similar to Nintendo releasing iPhone games where I'll be like, that's cool, and then like I might check it out and then forget and move on because there's so many other things. But and I've played a lot of some. Okay, I won't say a lot because that's not true. But some of the games on here. But I'll probably check out some stuff I haven't played before, like Kirby's Dream Course or Demon's Crest.
Kirby's Dream Course would be or is it Dreamland or Dream Course?
Dream Course. It's the golf one.
Oh, okay, so there's another Kirby game on there, right? Dreamland 3.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I haven't. I own some of these games. Some of them I don't. So let's take a guess. Like I went through the list and I did a bit of research. Like let's play a little game, you and me. Do you have the list in front of you of the games that are on the system?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So what do you think is the most expensive game on the list? I'll give you 3. Pick the top 3 since you're not going to what do you think are the most expensive? You want to go buy the cartridge right now. So what are the ones where you're getting your most value, so to speak?
Give me a second to look at some of these because I've never heard of like Brawl Brothers or whatever.
No Googling it. You got to guess. Like I'll wrap it.
No, that's fine. I just want to see what it looks like so I can get an idea.
Because I was impressed because some of these, I'll wrap while you think about it. Some of these, like, I was like, okay, so I don't own that game. What would have set me back to pick that up? And most of them, let's put it this way, most of the ones I bothered to Google, because a lot of them I kind of know are cheap. Like there's some easy ones on there that are like the commons. Let's give you a hint. Some of them are the commons. They're not a lot. They do not cost a lot to get a copy of Super Mario World, or Super Metroid. I mean, Super Metroid is going to cost you a few bucks at a con or at a retro store because everyone likes it, but it's not rare. You're still going to pay a few bucks for it, but it's not rare. Some of these were like, and let's put it this way, I'll without burying the lead, telling what the lead is that if you're complaining about the cost of an online subscription, but you even play one of these games for a couple hours, you've paid the cost for the whole year of your subscription to Nintendo Online versus what it would cost you to buy one or maybe two of these cartridges. Like the most cheapest cartridges, there's a couple on there that are under 10. And they're the obvious ones. They're the really cheapo games that are like everybody bought them. Like literally everybody bought Star Fox. Literally everybody had,
Zelda,
Super Mario World,
right.
But exactly. And some of those games still retain their value. If you go shopping for a cartridge of it, you're going to pay like $20, for some of those games, just because everyone likes them. But some of these games, they were not commons. Many, and the ones that are the most expensive, in fact, I've never played, and that's the reason, because I never owned it back in the day, and I've never gotten around to downloading a ROM of it and flashing it to my cart yet. So anyway, all right, your time's up. What do you think is what's your number one guess for the most expensive game here? I'll tell you if it's in the top 3 if you get close.
Let me guess the 3. Okay, I have one of them. I know that much. There's probably like 4 or 5 I'd put on this list.
Just take a stab at it.
I think Breath of Fire is probably the most expensive.
That is incorrect.
Dang it.
I would have thought it would have been more
expensive.
No, you get that for $15. I also thought that one would be a little pricier pick. I was thinking, an RPG, that kind of stuff always like holds value. I was thinking the same thing, but no, that one you could pick up a copy. It sounds like not boxed. We're not talking like pristine box. We're talking picking up a cartridge. 15, roughly 15 is what I spotted.
Demon's Crest?
Demon's Crest is one of the most expensive. It may be the most expensive. It would depend on if you go for an auction or go for a buy it now. But Demon's Crest may be the most expensive. I saw it for like 80 buy it now. So like $80. So if you even get Demon's Crest and is the only game you play on there and you play it for a few hours, you paid for your whole year of your subscription basically. Like they gave it to you for free, to play. And it's a game that's very pricey if you want to go out and play it on your Super Nintendo right now. And so that was a great pick. That's the top.
Gonna guess is Super Earth Defense Force.
I didn't know that one either, and I looked it up and I didn't even write it down. It was so cheap. So no, it is. It's about 20, 25.
Oh, okay.
It is. I did write it down. Yeah, that one with a really long title, EDF, like Defense Force, whatever. It's like real long. So yeah, that was not. It's in the lower mid, I'd say, of what I bothered to look up of them. But that was your 3 guesses.
Yeah. What are the other 2 then?
So like some of the other the top expensive, because like I didn't sit here and make a spreadsheet, but I quickly was looking them up and sorting them for like what could I buy it now.
Super Ghouls and Ghosts, I don't know.
No, that's a kind of common game. So that's like I knew that one would be kind of low, but I made sure.
Like, series that didn't continue.
Yeah, no, that's a $15, $20 game.
Yeah, okay.
It's all the rarity here, and it's more like being my age and knowing which ones you ever saw at your friend's house and which ones you didn't. Joe and Mac 2 is $60 roughly. And that I looked up because I was like, yeah, I never saw that. I have Joe and Mac for NES, but I don't have Joe and Mac 2. I never played it. So that one was 60. And then the second most expensive at a glance, and there's room for wiggle here, was Kirby's Dream Land 3.
Wow.
And I was thinking like, I wondered about it when I saw it on the list because I was thinking there's a third one. And that's like the kind of thing where there's a lot of value a lot of times in those kind of sleepy like hits that like, non-hits that like, are really expensive now because like Mega Man's a great series. That's an example. Like Mega Man 5 is the most expensive in the series of the original NES because everyone was getting tired of it by then. Everyone was like, Mega Man, I don't want that. I already played Mega Man like so many times. So then it ends up being rare nowadays because it's like just nobody picked it up. And oddly 6 is slightly less expensive, which is odd to me, like since it was even later. But maybe there's just a bigger production run of it or whatever. But yeah, so I mean, even if you play like 3 or 4 of these games, and get into them and throw away the other ones, like just don't ever touch them. I argue you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. Like Nintendo's really kicking it down with this online service now. Like,
well, that's
this
cool,
is super,
That's the benefit of, like, it's easy to say, you just put up the typical games everyone plays, but this is the perfect kind of, like digital stores are the perfect kind of way of saying, hey, you can't really get this somewhere else without paying through the nose or just downloading it illegally anyway. So here's a way you can get it for
100%
very cheap or, a subscription. So it's like, hey,
100%.
Or some of them where it's like, it's not available or whatever.
And now that you make me think of it, that's actually, that hadn't occurred to me. That's one of the biggest failings of the NES selections because I'm a huge NES collector, like by any normal person standards. I mean, I have like 300. I don't even know. I've never counted in a long time. Like, but I have a ton of NES carts. I only have a small cadre of what would be considered relatively valuable ones, and I have none of the mega valuable ones. But like I do have like a couple that are I have a $300 couple games, but like that's a few. But like the stuff they put on the download service for NES, I don't recall anything leaping out at me as even particularly valuable. I don't remember for sure. I'd have to go look at it, and I could be wrong, but almost the vast majority of them are the really common cheap games. And it's like that to me is like the only place where I would even really play the games. Like I'd be like, well, it's one that I could never justify playing. Like Little Samson or something is one of the more valuable Nintendo games, and it's like if you put on there, I'd almost have to give in and play it, because am I ever really gonna pay $1,100 or whatever Little Samson costs right now? And that's not even close to the most expensive NES game, but it's up there. I don't even know what it's at now. Like that could be way off. Is it 10,000 or is it 1,100? I don't remember. Like it's I'm gonna have to check eBay, but no, I never forget. I'm not gonna do it while we're live on the air. Because I never look at this stuff because it's too tempting to me. I'm like, oh, I want it. Oh, I want it for no reason other than I don't have it. And it's like ridiculous. $800.
But yeah, I see one that's used. It's
but you gotta really. Yeah, and you got to dig in and make sure it's not a Chinese fake. Like that's the problem. Like it's like because there's so many Chinese fakes, so they're really expensive ones. Like where's it from?
A good game.
It is a very good game, I hear.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's a Capcom game.
That'd be the other question. It doesn't matter if they're missing some games if they aren't good to begin with either.
Yeah. It's like the first thing to do is like, look, is it from China? If so, it's fake. Like, do not buy it 100 billion%. Like to anyone listening here who's wanting to dig into that world. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple around the nine bills. Yeah, it's around 1,000. So that's what I thought. Like I was making sure my brain didn't glitch, and I dropped a 0 or something like that on it, because it's not even. I don't even know that it's in the top 10 rarest. But it's one of the ones that always gets name dropped, is like one of the ones, if you have it in your collection, is like, yeah, you got one of the ballers, you got one of the ballers, and it's a good game. That's what makes Little Samson stand out. It's like, it's a Capcom game, so it's going to be fun. It's got great music. It's like, you just listen to the soundtrack sometime on YouTube, and it's got cool music. It's a real classic. So, but yeah, so like, that's the thing with the NES downloads. Like when I would go in there, I'm like, yeah, there's barely anything in here that like I couldn't pick up, but Super Nintendo, like I said, a long time ago, I made the decision. I was like, I'm buying an EverDrive card for my Super Nintendo, because it was like, this is the only way I'm going to play a lot of these games. There is no way for me in a world where people are starving and people are like, don't have money and all kinds of, where I can afford to, like, I could even possibly morally rationalize spending thousands of dollars on a video game, or like even a couple hundred on the reg, like, which is what it costs to collect Super Nintendo. So yeah, good on them. Yeah. It was a great announcement. Everybody wanted it. They're going to get a lot of good press from that, so they're smart. Yeah.
So sorry, Eli has been holding on for so long.
Oh, is he back?
Yeah.
Eli.
I've been my computer just like froze. I had no clue what I was just talking about. The Operation Rainfall.
Xenoblade.
Just like I went off for a few minutes, and then I didn't hear a response. I'm like, shit.
Uh-oh.
To recap, I did actually look up the sales, and the original Xenoblade Chronicles sold for like 1.4 million, and then Chronicles 2 sold for 1.7 since June.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Did it count the 3DS version? And
no, I think it was just the Wii.
Okay.
But yeah. But speaking of port/remakes or whatever, another one they announced was Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which is one of the few Wii U games that probably, like, I didn't play it, but I would say deserved it more than the other ones, because I don't think as many people played it, whereas like 3D World and all these other ones, like millions of people played it. So it's like wasn't really necessary. But Eli, you really like the game, right?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I wrote an article for Nintendo Enthusiasts back when it came out, titled "Nintendo Sent Tokyo Mirage Sessions Out to Die" or something like that. I'm sure the game sold terribly, which is a shame, because I really, really liked it. It's an excellent RPG. It's got a decent story. It's very similar to Persona games. It doesn't have like the interaction real life elements, but the combat's similar. I guess it's similar to Shin Megami Tensei in that respect. And the dungeon crawling is similar to that. So I really love the game. I definitely recommend it to anyone who who likes RPGs. It's like a full length, 50-hour, 60-hour game. So I'm excited they're bringing it back because this is a game that definitely did not reach critical mass. Not enough people played this, and I think that a re-release will do it good.
This is what's so weird about game trailers. I didn't know it's an RPG. I thought it was like a rhythm game, the way the visuals looked. Like honestly, with the music aspect to it and the way they frame it in the trailers, I this is the one Mirage Sessions, right? We're talking about. I'm talking about the right game.
Yep.
I 100% thought it was some kind of Fire Emblem rhythm game with maybe some Fire Emblem elements or whatever. Like that's so weird. I never really read an article on it or whatever. I just assumed, well, I don't like Fire Emblem that much, and the graphics are cool. It always like strikes me as like, wow, it looks like well directed, like of a game, but I had it completely pigeonholed wrong for what kind of game it is. So it is more of a modern RPG, is what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, so I definitely thought it was the same back when it first was announced, but yeah, it's definitely a hardcore RPG and it's good.
Wow. Yeah, the way the trailers frame it gives me the wrong impression. That's interesting. So, well, there you go. So this is like give a little bit of a remake with something with the Xenoblade, and then like a re-release of like they're really mining the Wii U. It's going to be really interesting to see like what doesn't ever come over. Like
that's why that's why I tweeted it was like this Nintendo Direct is just pretty much the gang's all here because it's just so much bringing back. It's like the Wii U. They're pretending the Wii U never existed. They're all Switch games. It's what they were made for originally. Like, do not worry.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it is smart. It comes back to the problem. The dark lurking problem for Nintendo at all times is we cannot make AAA games fast enough for our own system to sustain a system, and we need to have at all times. We need to have devs coming in, bringing stuff to our console that is a required component for survival for us. And in this case, they're unabashedly mining themselves. They have to. I mean, they have to because they, no matter how much success they have like 10 franchises, maybe 15 if you stretch, and they stretch those as much as they can. They make 2D versions, they make 3D versions, they do re-releases, they do blast from the past kind of stuff. Now they do remakes, and it's like, but it's still, it's like, it's going to stretch thin. So like, I bet they're like laughing. They're like, this is like a weird blessing in disguise. Like Nintendo almost died, almost being in quotes, like they didn't really, but like Nintendo almost died. Now it's like a blessing in disguise. Like we have this whole library of games that only 12 million people might have played at most, so
yeah, they basically paid their dues there to make up for it now.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, they didn't mean it to be that way, but that's what happened. I mean, like they're making lemons into lemonade, like they really are. Just like, and it's funny because like it doesn't serve me well or you guys well that are both Wii U like owners that are like, loved our Wii U's for what they were and saw the problems with it at the same time. It doesn't serve us particularly well, but we're also fanboys. I begrudge them nothing. I'm like, yeah, for it. I don't care. I have 50 games on my wish list, and a lot of them are indies, admittedly, or a lot of them are like second party, third party stuff, but I don't care because I'm playing Dark Souls right now on my Switch, and it's one of the best games of all time. And, I'll get around to Odyssey eventually.
Cool. They're gonna announce a new console before I actually get to.
Hey, maybe I'll make it the last game I play in the system. Would that be a bad decision? No, it would be awesome. So who knows? So, cool.
It's like 2 more things we announced, and then deal with that. But the next thing they announced, they announced that they would have some Pokemon news in there, and they did show off some Pokemon stuff. Yeah, check out.
Bye.
I don't think we've had you on. Well, we haven't had you on for a bit. What did you think of the Pokemon stuff they showed off?
Okay, so you'll have to go first because I actually was writing while this was going on, so I didn't catch it.
Gotcha.
Other than the new Pokemon, I saw them and I guess they looked all right.
Yeah, so they showed off customization is back. I forget which one they took it out of. I think it was like Sun and Moon didn't have it, but like the Ruby and Sapphire remake did. Anyway, whatever. Customization is back. Hair clothing, like gloves now, jackets. You can wear like So each gym has like its own sort of team, and they showed off the girl like wearing her outfit. So I guess you can have your team's jersey sort of thing, which is cool. They didn't show a whole lot of the guy, which I'm kind of worried about. They mostly focused on the girl, which Unoclay, who isn't aware, anytime they have customization, it's like the girl gets 4 or 5 times as much stuff as the guy. It's like, man, everyone like just switches over to the girl because she has like actual customization options, which kind of sucks. Hopefully that's
sexism. Yeah, really. See, guys are losing out in this world. We need more guy power in this world. This is just terrible.
I can't be a hippie stoner looking dude in all of the games. Come on.
I can't take this. Men are losing out in this world. I'm so mad.
To clarify for our listeners, because on the internet anyone will believe anything, that was a joke.
I'm really mad about it because guys need more stuff. yeah, totally. No, I didn't know that. So they imbalance the customization to favor the women in Pokemon. That's
I don't
forward thinking of them or something.
Backwards thinking. I want some cool stuff.
Really, what they gotta do is let the male characters wear the female gear. That would solve the problem.
Yeah. Like we need to start a petition. I hear a petition in the works.
Well, it is based off the UK, so the guy wearing a skirt does seem. Does kind of make sense.
Are you talking about kilts? Are you talking about kilts? I was going to say, like, I was like, oh my god.
Well, the meme is that the girl is a Scottish girl, so that'd be funny.
Okay.
They showed off the campsite, which is kind of like Pokemon on Me from the other games. You can play with them. You can cook food now, which is weird. I guess it replaces some of the other cooking mini games because you still use berries. I'm not sure if there's any added benefits compared to just feeding them and getting mini bonuses, but they added that, and then they showed off the Pokemon. I think that was the 4 things they did: customization, Pokemon, cooking, and the campsite. I don't know about you, but I really like the Pokemon designs they've been making recently. I think I like up to Gen 3, and then Gen 4 was like okay, and then Gen 5 Black and White I thought was garbage, and then since X and Y, I think they've just been on like a winning streak, and it seems they're continuing with it as far as I'm concerned, with like this teapot ghost thing, which is cute and makes no sense, and is one of the better like random ghost Pokemon that inhabits a thing for no reason. Like a lot of those can be stupid, but I think this one's cute, and the random like mentally disturbed like seagull dude, or not a seagull, I forget what they're called, a gull or whatever, but it like spits fish out after it uses like surf and stuff. I think it's funny. I don't know if you watched the trailer in that time while I was talking, but
yeah, I wish I could contribute to this because I tuned out during the direct, like during Pokemon. I like that you guys like it, but I wish I could contribute, and I cannot. So it's gonna have to be Eli or nothing, because I'm like.
I mean, I'm excited for the game.
This new character. This is what he sounds like when he comes back from the dead, people.
They didn't say there weren't any backfires to it.
Yeah, he's like kind of like a weird surfer version of Eli, or a half dead surfer version. I'm not sure.
I will say though, I will say that I think that Pokemon still has a lot to prove, because to me it still seems like there are all these innovations, but I want to see how they work in practice. I don't know. I can't get over the fact that I can't have all the Pokemon. So they can show everything I want, but I'm still not over it. I'm still butthurt. So, and I know we talked about this, I think, when it first was announced that Pokemon aren't coming over. But yeah, still butthurt. That has nothing to do with today's presentation. It's just...
Totally.
It's just...
Eli's having a lot of fun over it.
No, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I like the new Pokemon design as well. It's just kind of funny that literally, teapots, a ghost-type Pokemon can at this point inhabit anything, and they'll call it a Pokemon. The real conspiracy theory is, what if every single ghost-type Pokemon was actually just one Pokemon that inhabit a different thing?
I can't speak to that theory, but isn't this like kind of biting? What's that other series where it's like Yokai Watch? Is this like biting on Yokai Watch? Isn't that their territory to have ghosts inhabiting stuff or whatever?
Well, they have demons, I think, is their thing.
Oh, it's not ghosts, it's demons. I get it.
Totally
Okay.
different.
Totally different. Totally different. Japanese series of demons versus ghosts. I got it. All right, silly me. Why would I even ask? Like, even though they seem very suspiciously similar to an outsider, but hey, whatever. I don't begrudge anybody anything.
Clay, maybe if you're cultured, this would be easier for you.
I don't want to be like that guy. But guys, I mean, I've been to Japan. I'm just gonna. I've eaten sushi in Tokyo.
I'm just kidding. Clay is definitely more cultured than any of us. He's actually like in the arts. So.
Yeah. I'm so cultured. Like the last weekend, I fell asleep like sitting in a chair, like with a beer in my hand. I'm like that. I'm hot. I'm like a classy dude. Let me tell you guys. You should see my personal life. Like I'm sitting here. No, I'm not going to get into it. All right. So classy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Totally. Exactly how I think of myself. Awesome. Yeah. You guys are classy though. You guys are classy. You guys are class acts. Everyone here is classy, but Mike. Mike's not here, so he's the one that's like dirtbag.
He's playing Smash as far as I check. Oh man!
Oh my god!
I literally been here like the whole time. Since Clay was talking about EGLX or whatever.
Oh my god, this is so amazing.
Of
Video.
course,
Were you here when we resurrected Eli from the dead? Did you hear this?
I don't know. You talked about EDF, and then Eli came in. You're like, Eli's back. I'm like, he's been here before me. Like,
oh my god, just in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time.
I gotta head out.
All right, Mike's tapping in.
Yeah,
we're gonna swap out. But you can find me. I'll do a quick plug on Twitter at Paulus Elon, and then moderating on Nintendo Enthusiast. But I'll come back. I'm not out. Okay.
Nice. Going back to the graveyard for the night, but not permanently.
I will show my face again.
Nice.
Metaphorically. All right. See you later.
Great to have you back. Go back. Get back in your coffin. Back in your coffin. Get back in there.
Get the nails. We gotta hammer it. Good
Mike. Mike's finally done playing with Banjo. He's here to tell us he sucks. What's new?
Morty. But nothing, bro. Nothing at all.
Oh my god.
Chilling and jobless, you know.
Oh my god. So, Matt, lead us into the next directions. Now that we're three strong again, and we got that guy back in his coffin. Now, what's left to talk about?
So, there's one thing in this Smash, but this one thing I think would only really appeal to like me and Eli. So I'll just go over it. They showed off Little Town Hero, which is the other Game Freak is making. I think it looks kind of cute. They haven't really shown it off much before. I am surprised that it's launching this year because, actually, I forget if they said it was coming this fall or not. But we've heard of it, and then they showed off like a small teaser, and then at some point screenshots, and then like this is the first actual reveal, and it isn't a whole lot to go on by. And I'm kind of confused how it plays. It's an RPG, but it's not like you select typical moves. It's like, you can improvise or throw things or team up with random civilians that'll fight on your behalf and stuff. So I don't quite get it. I'm sure they'll do like a bigger info dump or maybe even a direct dedicated to it, which I think it kind of needs because like the 1 minute it's on screen, it doesn't show a whole lot, which doesn't really service the game. And it comes out in October, so I'm sure they're gonna want to show it off a little more.
I was watching when it was on, and it didn't look like it was for me, but I didn't get much of an impression of it either. It wasn't like it didn't wow me, so I was like, well, it's not for me anyway. It looked like a sim or something, so I was like, nah.
But the interesting thing is that most of the soundtrack is made by Toby Fox, which created Undertale and also all the music, because Undertale was a one-man game, which is really interesting. Just because it's like, we got like an indie developer to make a game or make music for like a prolific studio, It's like, what the heck? And we should have, that should have been the telling point, because later in the Smash Direct after this, they announced Sans is going to be a Mii costume and has a Megalovania soundtrack / remix, which I wouldn't have predicted at all.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And then Sakurai went on to say, like, I had him over to my house and we played Smash and he kicked my ass. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh, this guy made one game and he's
trending.
Almost feel bad for him, because it's like, can you go up from there? I mean, I'm sure you can, but it feels like everything.
This is the greatest day of your life. This is the greatest day. Well, I mean, he did make Undertale, which was very successful. Sure. So it's hard to say this is the greatest day of his life. But it is. I thought the same thing. I thought you just literally, as far as video games go, you had one of the greatest days you could ever have. Like Sakurai name dropped you, like in the direct, and then said you're good at Smash, like,
and then invited you to his house.
Yeah, drop the mic. Like that's the kind of stuff that like happens to you, but nobody ever hears about it because it's like bragging. Like you don't talk about it. It's like, your best friends hear about it, but you don't tell anybody else. It's like that's way too braggy.
It's like,
and then this guy.
Man, I feel bad for you, dude, because like the next couple of years, I don't think are gonna be like. Well, I'm not gonna say for sure, but it's hard to be like, if you're starting off that high, it's like, the next couple of years probably aren't gonna be that high. So
I don't know. That's
like well, I'm not saying like he's not gonna do well, but it's hard to be like you're gonna make a hit, and it's hard to like consistently make hits. Because you never know. There's so many factors that go into it. So
Undertale was like a once in a generation kind of experience for a director, especially someone like that small. Like absolutely. But he's on his way to a brilliant career, clearly, because he does really. Even Mike said before, he doesn't like Undertale, but you like the music. And then he got a job because of that music. Clearly, he got another great job, and you can make a career out of that. He could spend the rest of his life making great music soundtracks for video games as a gun for hire, and be perfectly happy as far as we know. And it's like, and then just all this rest of it's gravy. I'm sure in his mind, he's just like, didn't expect this. I made a really creative, unique game that is really kind of just stands alone as like kind of an indie darling, or whatever in its own terms or whatever. And then it's like, and this, and it's cool that people notice him for that. That's I can't be happy because I am a fan of Undertale. I like games that break conventions, and obviously those that have played it know what I'm talking about, that it subverts your expectations, and it isn't a very hard game, which is usually something I hate. But good for him. I was laughing too. I thought the same thing about it. I thought, what is this, Toby Fox Day?
Like, blew my mind.
This
is insane.
Yeah.
Props to that guy.
Yeah, it makes you feel happy for someone. It's like when they make good, like that like indie, you can do it spirit. Because like anybody could have made Undertale. Anybody could have made Undertale. Like it's not a complex game. It's barely a game. I think Mike pointed out one time. In some ways, it's barely a game in some ways, but it's fun, and it's got heart. It's got that Earthbound heart to it. That's what really sells it. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, did you like Earthbound? You'll like Undertale. They're no. I knew I could kind of Mike.
It's not a game. It's not a game.
It is a game.
It's not getting to that territory.
He does good is he makes godly music. He's so good at music.
You're like, the only thing you do is make something amazing still. It's like, well, that's not that bad.
Your game sucks, but like, please.
I 100% grant it is not a hard game. It is.
It's not a game.
It's a game. It's a game. I'm with you. I'm with you. In some cases, things are not.
If walking
I feel like
simulators,
I could plug in an Atari and play Undertale. That's how little.
You probably could.
Yeah, exactly.
It's low res. I mean, what were you gonna say, Matt?
I was gonna say, if people can count walking simulators as games, then Undertale is
it's more than a walking simulator.
Like there's the battles, the boss battles, which have timing and stuff, and
there's the secrets. Like, let's not spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it, but like, it's
ones. But anyway, let's not get into that. So Mike, I guess you've been playing Banjo because I saw you were playing Smash when we started the podcast.
And ignoring your friends. Ignoring your friends.
I had to. I did Banjo Classic 9.9, but the problem was the video, if you guys see it now anyway, I'm the first guy on this planet to beat it 9.9.
You think? No way. Except for Sakurai. Except for Toby Fox.
They're trash. They play with items. Right? And Sakurai, he definitely did 9.9 anything.
Toby Fox did though. You gotta admit, Toby Fox did.
Probably could if he goes even with Sakurai, that's sad. All right. But on the side of that, yeah. So my sound was broken on it, and I'm very sad. And I couldn't replicate the magic. So
what you mean?
Take a shower.
What you took video but you didn't get sound? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Well, the driver got messed up, and I was like, shit. I didn't realize because I was like, oh my god, 9.9, and I threw it up, and then I was like, let me hear this now. You know.
Well, I mean, like if you're the first person in the video up on the planet, that's still cool. You should still learn that.
No sound. A game video with no sound is so.
I mean, if it was me and you can reproduce, like just grab some music and throw it over.
I can't.
I mean, pull it down like and throw any Smash Brothers music over and put a disclaimer at the beginning.
It's like number one trending on classic banjo.
Oh, nice. All right, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, if it's trending still.
Yeah, but it's so trash. Now people are gonna see it and they're gonna see garbage, dude.
Oh well.
I don't know. You're being hard on yourself. That's cool. You did it. Whatever.
Anyway,
you know, like.
So,
what
do you think of banjo? Because I only got to play like literally 2 matches before.
I think he's awesome, dude. The only thing I don't like, he doesn't really have like much throw combos, like kind of anything out of it that I tinkered around with. But he does some good knockback, and he's quick, man. He's real fast. Like it makes me just kind of like really wish that they'd make a new banjo game or remake it, and like he would have that kind of speed, But I don't know. I love him. What color costume did you like the most, and which one do you hate out of all of them?
Let me pull them up. I forget.
All right. I like the original anyway, but like the last costume, his like undead kind of like over like looks like grunty. Yeah.
They even I like how they changed the pants too.
Yep. Okay.
Like, that's great.
That one is so good. It was like it just kept reminding me of like grunty. Instead of 2D getting wrecked, it would be banjo went full grunty, and I'm like, oh okay, cool. But I love them. I mean the remixes are dope. The stage is dope. Everything's amazing about it. So, and then you guys were talking about that Toby Fox song game. I forgot what it was called. Like the Journey of Life or
Little
whatever.
Yeah, the game he did the music for. I don't remember.
Yeah, Little Town something. I don't know. That game looks like fake Yokai Watch, but like I'm kind of interested. But like every time they show something, it's always the same demon that guy fights. That same demon.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn it all! Like there's no information about this game other than that beast in the 5, selection. Other than that, I'm trying to think what happened with the direct that I would like really call.
I mean, did you have any reaction, Mike, being the Smash expert here? Did you have any reaction to the Fatal Fury guy?
I was actually more shocked that leaks were correct more than anything.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I can't. Like I've been saying before, Banjo. I really don't care who's in it anymore. Like Banjo kind of took everything from me. I was like, it's like, yo, there's a character. The character, like I've been talking about since like '99. Got in the game, like you know what I mean? Like you just don't care anymore. The cinematic was really funny. Did you guys like?
Yeah,
that?
I liked it. I mean, I was like, I'm not super familiar with like Neo Geo fighting games and stuff like that. I mean, I've played some Neo Geo in the arcade and stuff like that. But like, I was luckily versed on this series recently because a magazine I love a lot. It's called Retro Gamer. It's a very expensive magazine, but it's the creme de la creme of modern like kind of coverage of old games, like actual physical magazine. They just like had a whole issue where the cover story was Fatal Fury a few months ago. So I really didn't know anything about the series, and I was like reading up on it. And like the funniest thing is exactly what I saw in the chat during the direct was like people like, is this guy a Pokemon guy? Is that a trainer? You know what I mean? Because that is exactly how the cover art looked for that issue of Retro Gamer, was the same exact picture of like him tipping his hat kind of. And I thought the same thing when I got it in the mail. I thought it was a Pokemon issue. I was like, oh, it's a trainer, you know what I mean? Until I read the article, literally, I didn't know that.
I know, like he's like the face of SNK or whatever.
Right.
Like, I mean, I should have realized that a Neo Geo thing was coming because like Nintendo had Neo Geo on the Switch early. Like they've had it like since
on the Wii too.
Year launch.
Yeah. It's like it's the one place that you can affordably play Neo Geo games is on Nintendo platforms. So, yeah, it makes sense. And I'll be honest with you, like when I was in Japan, I saw it firsthand how popular like fighting games still are there, like other ones other than Smash, like where here in America it's like kind of like much more of a niche thing these days than it was back in the 90s.
More popular in Japan, like Tekken's more of a South Korea kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, but no, yeah, like every region has their own fighting thing. Like people like Smash, but like there's a reason why like Tekken and Street Fighter get a lot of money put into it in public.
Yeah. It's interesting to me because I was like, this feels maybe, well, I don't think I feel wrong saying this, and I welcome your input. I feel like this is another one where like Hero, like from Dragon Quest, was a real give it to Japan kind of thing. This kind of feels the same to me, to be honest. Like I was like, how many Americans know anything about Fatal Fury? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I don't know too much about SNK. Like, I mean, Neo Geo also had like, I thought Virtua Fighter was a Neo Geo thing, but I found out that was Sega.
No, that's Sega, yeah.
Yeah. See, like, I really don't know anything. And people were like, oh, maybe it's like, the Metal Slug guy. And I played those.
I was going to say, like, SNK, cool. Like, the most people know is Metal Slug, totally. That's, like, the one thing a lot of people think of when you think of that company, so.
I remember it mostly because of the, I didn't even play them, but on the Wii there was Capcom versus SNK.
Yeah.
I forget if that was on the Wii or if that was a different Capcom versus. But I remember seeing.
No, you're thinking Capcom versus Tatsunoko.
That's what it was. But
yeah.
Regardless, I remember seeing like images of Capcom versus SNK around the internet. So I'm like tangentially aware, but yeah, I'm not really like.
Well, the thing is though, when it was leaked that this like something like that, I saw only photos of this Terry guy, and then like there's this thing of Ken picking up his hat and handing it to Terry.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, okay. And then when it was that character, I was like, wow, the first time I've actually like not that surprised because the leak was correct. You know what I mean? Like 99% of the time it'll be like, but dude, last week
Nintendo
was Tracer or Diva.
Oh yeah, that was because the Overwatch case. That's a bit much. I mean, they were right that Overwatch was coming, but yeah. But
Clay, you gonna get it?
What am I gonna get? I'm sorry.
You're gonna get O-dubs, Overwatch.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that before. I'm on the fence. What I said to Matt, for the sake of the listeners to recap, would be that with this number of games we have right now, I'm interested. It'll depend on like time, and if I like, it would demand so much of me like learning it and so many characters and so much investment of time. I'm a little less likely right now, but it doesn't mean I'm not interested. Like I like the idea of it. It looks like a great game. From the little bit I've played at other people's houses, it seemed like a fun game. But I feel like jumping in now as a noob, like it's going to have a real steep curve for me, like playing it against people that are
think about
probably
like a
pretty
lot of people with
experienced.
Switches,
Maybe.
probably haven't ever played it.
Maybe, it'll depend on what I hear about the matchmaking, and it'll depend on time. I mean, like, the same problem we all have, like, how much time do I have? Like, it's like, I got games stacked up left and right, and it's like, it's the kind of game that it's intimidating with the footprint of time it's going to take, like from me, that I'm like, I know people like you who are like semi-pro playing it like all the time. I know people playing CAD, even people playing CAD spend hours upon hours in it,
Yeah, but hours doesn't translate to skill,
Yeah, true. Well, for me they do. I'm not as naturally like dope ass motherfucker at first person shooters, as some of y'all are. Like first person shooters is not my natural top genre. So it's like I'm gonna have to like really dig into it if I'm gonna get any kind of skill at it. Plus when there's that many characters, that's always like a huge learning curve for me. It's like,
well, you don't have to play every game. That's really like what makes Overwatch like so special. It's like you really don't have to you can master 2 or 3 characters or one of each class and you're like, all right, like what I mean? I know where I am. Like it's different at like the highest level, but like there's so many different styles of character that you're gonna be like, oh, I actually like this guy way more than like one guy throws shurikens, one guy has like a laser beam, like it's no character is the same, and that's
and the basic. I know it sounds like ignorant because it's like Jesus, like how do I not know what Overwatch entails? But like, is it 4-on-4 arena, right? Like basically, it's like
no, that's a mode of it. It's 6-on-6. Okay. And there's 3 types of modes. It's there is that arena-esque, so it's 6-on-6 King of the Hill.
Yeah.
There's hybrid, so you capture a point and then you move a payload, or you just move the payload. So it's one of those 3. The thing is though, like the map is always changing as you progress. like one point, you're never back at the same point. That's where it's not like an arena. You're not stuck in one area.
Oh,
Unless
okay.
you can't, if you don't score a point, then yes, you're in that area. But as you score a point, you move to a different map.
Oh, see, I know nothing about that. See, I've never even watched it enough to know that about it. I played it for like 5 minutes one time at someone's house and then watched a few matches, and that was all. Like,
I mean, to be honest, this is the first gun game that like I cared about. So like, I mean, I played Halo, but I was like, oh, I like the Chief. He's cool. I want to play this game. It wasn't like, I was playing multiplayer all the time and stuff. So I get you, man. I get you. Like when I learned that shit in Call of Duty, everyone's like, yeah, there's this mode and this. I'm like, what the hell are you guys talking about?
Totally.
But,
It looks really cool. Like, and I've always been curious about how big a hit it was, and now it's like, hey, we'll see. $40 is a really nice price for it. Like, I wasn't sure. Then I looked that up. I thought that's a decent price.
I don't know if they're gonna do that. One said the Legendary Edition. So I mean, I know on PC it's 20, but it is 40 on all consoles. But maybe it could be 30 if it's not that Legendary Edition one. So.
And is it digital only, do we know, or is it physical? Like, do we know which we're getting? Like, I don't know that they mentioned that.
It's a legendary edition. So you get a bunch of skins and some like other Blizzard game trinkets. So, like it didn't say
stuff you
based off
really
of the other
about.
stuff. Yeah.
But I'm asking, is it digital or is it physical?
Should be a physical one. It says it is because the Legendary Edition is only the physical one.
Okay.
So
okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because to me that's a factor actually, because I don't dig the idea of downloading games that are like 20, 30 gigs into my Switch and eating, it's like I'd rather have physical for anything over 10 gigs easily, even less really. Like I'm pretty picky about that because I just do not want to have to invest in another huge memory card, and it's just like
I totally agree. Other than that, I came in also. You guys were talking about Tokyo Mirage. I'm actually pretty glad that it's coming out. That was a game I still have my Wii U plugged in because that's a game I really wanted to play. But since it's getting released, I'm like, all right, the one Wii U game that I regret not playing that wasn't Captain Code is coming to the Switch. So
nice.
Kind of lucked out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks like a great game. It's just not for me, but it looks. It's beautiful.
Well, it is the failed. It's that failed Persona Cross Fire Emblem game. That's like, do you remember there was rumors about that years ago, like before we met Clay, and that game, it didn't fall through. It didn't. There was a screenshot of Marth, and he was like supposed to be the Persona, like you summoned Fire Emblem characters, but that fell through.
Changed it. Yeah, and then they're like, it's more like Shin Megami Tensei, and like the Fire Emblem aspect is really just like there's two characters or something. Well, I guess. There's a handful, but not. It's definitely not.
They're not.
It's not really a crossover. It's more like here's a whole separate thing, and here's elements from like both.
Yeah, it's kind of fused into its own game like this. But I was always interested in it, so I was pretty happy about that. I'm definitely not dipping on Xenoblade, and I'm trying to think, was there anything other out on? I can't believe they're announcing more Smash characters. Like, I honestly was like,
that was the best thing of the Direct. I mean, we've been going really long here, so I'm glad we're hitting that here at the end, because it's like that was like me lolling all the way to the floor. I'm like,
I can't believe it. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to put in the game. I was like literally digging through like Mario characters. I was like, I don't know, is Funky Kong gonna get in this game? Like,
nah.
I literally did not think of another character to come in the game.
No,
I'm fresh out. I said that last when Banjo came out, but I honestly, at this rate, the assist characters are gonna be real characters. All right. So, I prove me wrong, all right? So, when we got Zero, Bomberman, and Rayman as characters, all right? Also, Rayman should be a real possibility. I mean, didn't Ubisoft make Mario and Rabbids?
They did.
Yeah, and I mean, we've had Assassin's Creed on Switch forever.
We had Rayman trophy in Smash because they like offered it, which is very funny because they're French too. It's like, hey, you're offering a gift. I've seen that. You're offering us a statue. I've seen this trick before. Your plans.
But I mean, I don't know. I just think, I honestly, if that's the fifth character, I could see it being the fifth character. That's my guess for it right now. Or if not, I could see it later on. Like, he's just a character. He fits that Nintendo presence,
Yeah. So there's a rumor for the 5th one. I don't know if you want me to spoil it or whatever.
If not, how will we know? It's too far away anyway.
I mean, I'm down for...
the people, it's like half spoiled because there was a leak saying how the Terry trailer would go, and that's wrong because they said, oh, Terry's going to be part of Insanora's trailer, but clearly, well, they didn't even have a full trailer here. So that didn't happen, but Terry's real, and other people have said Terry is real, but some other people are saying Ryu Hayabusa is going to be the 5th one.
From Ninja, I heard about that rumor. I've heard about that rumor.
Yeah. I think that'd be great. He's like the last big NES character, as far as I'm concerned, next to Simon.
Nah, so there's more, but I hear you. He's tectonically big. It's true. Yeah. Like
well, I mean, here's my guesses. If we're gonna like kind of do that, I like Ryu. That's a good one. I could also see Strider if you're gonna do something like that. But I really think Dante has a chance now. The more I look at it, DMC's been coming out for the Switch. I think Joker plays like Dante, low key. You know, and you know, we have a good relationship with Capcom. You know, we have Mega Man and Street Fighter. Like,
They could just make like a Capcom pass with how many characters Capcom has. Honestly,
that's true. No,
like, I'm fine with that.
I mean, Capcom
Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Phoenix Wright.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, dude! Yeah, I didn't.
Well, it's not even just the fighting game aspect of it. It's one of the greatest video game companies of all time, hands down. So it's like,
granted, they've been messing up for the last 10, 12 years, but like,
they have this stable of characters. It's like they have the goods. Like they really do. It's But then I wonder how much like showing favoritism goes into it for him, where it's like trying to spread it around, you know, like through different companies, because it's like,
so here's
you
know,
but you gotta be realistic business wise too. You can't like, I mean, everybody wants to come with Smash, but I already have a working established relationship.
Absolutely.
So
good call.
He kind of gave some, not spoilers, but he kind of hinted at it at the end where he's like, I really like, you know, this has been a lot of work, but I really like adding a bunch of different game worlds to Smash, because you know, after this game, you're probably never going to get 80 characters again. So it sounds like he's like, look, you're only going to go down from here. Let's kind of ride it out as far as we can and add as many different characters. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do try to get like different companies like Tecmo for Ryu and a bunch of other different things. Bethesda with Doom Guy or
Bethesda seems possible. I mean, they had that Ubisoft special announcement with the Bethesda guy. You know what I mean? They went to Bethesda and had that guy do that recording.
Yeah, that was definitely not necessary.
Yeah, but I'm saying that means they have either a really good relationship, and it definitely wasn't necessary for a Nintendo Direct. But they're like, yeah, we're gonna do this, and I'm like, okay, and like,
it seems like they're getting pretty chummy. Be surprised.
The only thing I would say working against Doom Guy is that he doesn't really have a recognizable look, and that's huge. Like when you want to drop a character, you want them to be like, oh, you picture it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, but we can counter with Hero though. I mean, Hero's got 4 different variations, but I mean they're all iconic, I guess.
But they're on the screen. You know what I mean?
You got the classic like big bulky helmet with like a green armored suit.
Maybe
and, like,
we'll get NES Mega Man. You know that remember what Street Fighter X Tekken did when they had Fat Mega Man? I mean American Mega Man. Yeah, we'll get that Mega Man. All right? From the NES cover art.
You mean the like slightly maybe dark skinned Mega Man?
No,
that you're like...
it's like a grown man wearing a helmet. Man.
Bad box art Mega Man.
Yeah, you mean from the one on the very original?
Fat one.
I've always thought he looks like his skin is a little like toned dark.
I just always thought he was like a tan guy wearing a Mega Man.
Yeah. Classic best box art ever, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, but
All right, but if we had to pick a Nintendo character, it doesn't sound like Sakurai's gonna. But like, if we were, is there any Nintendo character that could be picked? No, right? Like, I really can't think of any.
There could, but I'm on the spot, so I'm terrible with that.
Yeah, exactly. You're too on the spot.
I mean, like, oh my god, it's getting tough. I mean, when every single series is represented as well as they've been, you know, that you're just like, I'd have to. We'll have to save it for another time. Like we can do another episode where it's like now that we're in the like the like
the next slow news segment, we can just throw
fantasy land. I mean, we're in the fantasy land like now that it's like okay, like whatever. I think Matt's like really like right to pick someone like Ryu from Ninja Gaiden, you know, something like that. I mean, I'm always gonna go deep to the oldest like retro stuff, and I was getting giddy.
Joe and Mac, I know, Clay. We don't.
Oh, I don't like that game. That game's kind of boring. Like, but like, no, like I mean, like I'm gonna like for me, I was loving it when they showed the timeline rewinding backwards because I thought they were going to like Atari or something. You know, that it was like when they were showing the timeline click back before they revealed like Super Nintendo era, and then they clicked over to Neo Geo, and it was like, wait. You know, but right then I thought I had my moment. I'm like, oh, dude, they're gonna go back and like put something ridiculous in, something so old, every little kid out here is gonna cry.
I was hoping for that. I'm like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, are they gonna do something different than Atari? And it's like, crap.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, tomorrow, in a few hours, SNES, Nintendo. That's all. We're good. We're good, boys. All right. We can end on that high note. And Nintendo finally realized that they're gonna put out their own SNES controller for Clay for $30.
I already have a sweet NES controller Matt got me for Christmas a couple of years ago.
Nice,
so
dude. Nice.
I'm all set.
Wait, you have an NES one. Wait, how are you gonna use those? You don't have the extra buttons, man.
No, I have the SNES.
Okay. You're a SNES guy, not SNES. I see.
Sorry. Yeah, I may have misspoke, but yeah, no, it'll finally get some use for some of these super ultra expensive ones like the Demon's Crest and stuff like that we were talking about before. There's a couple.
I heard all that when you were talking about the prices.
Okay, cool. Yeah, those are like go for it. If you want to get your money, just go straight to Demon's Crest, then play the Kirby Dreamland.
I have a question before we end. Clay, I own original Xenoblade sealed. Does the value go down because the remake?
On Wii.
Yeah.
You'll have to look around. It's hard to say what the resale value of Wii is. You might. If you're not
feel like
eBay,
it got remade twice now. Well, you got
that's a hard call. In general,
is Wii old enough? First of question is the
it's
Wii,
not retro. I don't consider it retro. Like
I don't. Is the Wii old enough for people to be like collecting and making money off?
Not really. Like, but I mean, like the problem with that question is, that's where I was gonna go. Like, I mean, like older systems, you don't really see. Me personally, I don't observe like a big dip or change when something gets remade or whatever because people still are collecting. But that's old systems. It's a great question, Mike. If it was me,
it'd be better answered 10 years down the line, kind of.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Maybe.
No.
I mean, if you're not hurting for money, you know what I mean. Like, you know, like I mean, like if it was me and I wanted to dump it, I might go to a couple shops and see what they want to get offer for it. But I mean, like they're never going to give you full freight. eBay is almost always just the way to go and just set a price you're willing to sell it for. And like, if that doesn't sell,
curious, you know, like when games like this get remade or you know completely remade, you're like, what happened to the original copy? It's like, oh, that sucks. I could just get this, you know? Think about Metroid Prime. That's worth less than the Metroid Prime Wii remake. You know what I mean?
But you're talking about the Wii remake trilogy, right?
Yeah.
That's a special edition. That's a little different. But I like Wind Waker for GameCube probably is still just as valuable as it was before they released HD because GameCube is a classic system now. So it's like.
I feel like Wii U games are going to be valuable because remember I heard you talking about people don't want games.
It's hard to say.
Like
it's hard to say. It's so hard to predict. It's the kind of thing you're not going to know, like you said, for like 10, 20 years. It's like maybe.
Because your Mega Man 5 argument, you're like, well, nobody wanted it anymore. And I'm like,
with
the Wii U, there's like 5 million sold. And like, if you didn't play Mario Kart or Smash, every other game was like, that game existed? You know?
Yep. It's always hard to predict. It's the thing you don't expect a lot of the times, you know, and that's you know, will we be valuable? Sheesh, who knows?
I don't think the console's gonna be valuable, man. There's too many. All right, well, other than that, Mario and Sonic is game of the year. You guys cannot prove me wrong. Mario and Sonic is the Olympic Games. It's the game of the year. That is my number one buy in the upcoming months. So just to let you all know. Yeah. All right.
I want to add one thing about Smash. I'm actually surprised. So I wasn't sure if they would actually add more characters. One, because I figured what they did was they figured they were going to do a DLC pass, and they wrote up, okay, I'm going to do this many characters, but I'm only going to sign for one contract because I'm not, committing myself to more and then realizing, you know what, I'm actually going to die halfway through this, so I don't want to do this anymore, but I signed a contract. And then I figured, okay, so after the 1 year's up, then we'll figure out what's going on next. Maybe he doesn't want to do it because it's too much work and he needs a break, or he wants to, and blah, blah, blah.
I think
anyway, the point is, crap, what was the point I was going to make? Oh, the point I was going to make is whether they were doing more or not, I'm surprised they announced it now rather than with the last character, which I'm assuming will be at the Game Awards, because I would think that would be a bigger deal there, like when you're at the very end of the DLC and it's like, and more is coming, whereas now it's like, here's the third one, we're basically halfway through, and it's like, and more is coming. It's like, okay, I mean, like, it's awesome.
Well,
I think maybe they're banking on us to forget. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, I honestly think part of that could be is that there's no reason not to say it now, because they want to sell that character pack, and they can say it again later and sell more. But they can say it now and sell more, because it's like, if you're on the fence about this Terry character, you know, which a lot of people are, like, let's be real. I mean, how many people were like, fuck yeah, Terry from Fatal whatever.
Hey, I know more people write who than anything.
You know, it's like exactly. And it's like, so it's like, if you're on the fence, we just gave you a huge reason. If you've been on the fence all this time and you're like, well, I want Banjo, and a bunch of people tonight are going to log in and pay the character pack on that, maybe because it's like, well, I don't even know who this Joker guy is, and I don't even know who this Terry guy is, and I kind of know who this hero guy is, you know, but Banjo I want, so I'll spend $20 instead of spending $5, you know. That's the get. That's, I mean, plus it could be, I mean, remember, Sakurai writes his own ticket at this point. He's like the guy, you know. So if he says to the team, I want to announce it, I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. They might not be as awesome. They might not be like they might be C tier, you know, like characters or whatever. I don't even know. Maybe I'll, you know, do some cool ones. Maybe I'll just do some passion projects. But I want to announce it because I'm getting jazzed again. I've been working on this game 5 years of my life, and I'm still jazzed. I want to talk about it, you know. And they're going to be like, sure, go for it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
sure,
definitely.
Sure, dude. You can play Smash with Smash with 2 controllers at once. Like, all right, you can do whatever you want. Like, fine.
He's like, I'm doing it direct this way. Yeah, sure. We have people to play with you. No.
Yes, sir. No, thank you.
Yeah, that's funny. He's like, you're supposed to play this with friends, not by yourself. Please play with friends.
Yeah, that was the greatest line of the whole thing.
That was so funny. That was really clever from Zach.
He was killed.
The other employees in the back like laugh.
Yeah, it was so legit. It was like unusual framing, like to have that. Exactly. Has there ever been like a live direct like that where it's like more like a treehouse? Like, no, that's like the first time where it's like, oh yeah, you can hear his employees cracking up at his witty banter. And I think it was the funniest thing I think I ever saw in a direct when he's like, Banjo-Kazooie, great game. You can play that on Xbox.
Yeah.
No, what made me so mad when he's like, man, I mean, we really made some great models here, make for a great game, and I'm like, F you, bro.
I was dying. I was like, you are the funniest. That is seriously the funniest thing ever. To like, literally.
I didn't expect it to be funny.
He's just like, there are competitors technically, whatever, but go play it on Xbox. I really recommend you should. It's on Xbox. This is awesome. What a guy. All right, guys. I really got a jet. We've been going too. Is there anybody listening? If you're listening to this podcast still, write in and I'll send you something in the mail. Write in and you're listening to the 2-hour mark. It might be just a sticker, but I'll send you something.
What a guy.
That's right. Write in. _Switch on Twitter. Yep.
The postage is going to cost more than the sticker.
Yeah, I'll send you something. I have no idea what, but I'll send you something. If you're listening now, _Switch at the 2-hour mark, you get a prize. All right.
It seems like a good spot to sign off. So you can find me at the Manga Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And Mike, where can people find you?
All right, you can find me on YouTube at SME Gaming 64. Enjoy that no sound Banjo 9.9 while I cry about it.
Congrats.
Unoclay, where can people find you?
You can find me about to dive into a tray of baked eggplant ziti. My face will be face down in it as I plow through it like a little piggy. Otherwise, hit me up at _Switch on tweets, and I'll send you that sticker and maybe a photograph of one of my dogs. That's a deal.
was wondering where that was going. Pause a little long.
I had to think about what kind of photograph to send them, my friend.
All right. Lord. So, wherever listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle or me at the Manga Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo. We gather here today to perform the sacred ritual. He's already screwed it up. Sacred ritual.
All right, here we go. Dead serious. We're going to incan him back to life.